to talk briefly about the conceptual idea of this device. So the conceptual idea, the broad, big concept is if you create a fluid, flowing, uninterrupted motion, if you can do that, and you leave that alone for every single swing, it's a draw, it's a fade, it's just one fluid motion, then you create all the other things by how you stand. So to look at it in the reverse way, let's say now you've arrived at your perfect fluid motion and suddenly the ball's going some terrible direction, right? Big slice, big fade, big hook, draw, pull, whatever. So probably your motion is better. Probably that's telling you now you're not holding off to keep from hooking it. You're not doing anything wrong. The motion isn't what's wrong. It's actually probably better. What you now have to do is, especially with a passive grip, is there's really only one proper left hand position for you. Not for everybody, but for you. So, and it's a combination of two things. So, the proper left hand position is if you take this club, put it in kind of a square position, and now pull, and see where this hand wants to go, and then adjust the club. And so for you, you're pulling, and you're also adjusting these elements, right? So this is opening, closing with a face. So you get these two things, this, and put it under tension. And the reason for that is if you put it under tension, that's where it's going to go at speed. Doesn't matter what feels comfortable here. People train like, you're going to have a strong grip because hang my hand like that, well, that feels very natural. As soon as you put that under speed, that's going to close your club face. So you need to know where you are at speed when there's a lot of tension. Ben Hogan had an interesting quote. He said of his golf swing, when he figured it out, he said, the faster I swing, the straighter it goes. So why would that be? That's the opposite of what we all experience, right? We start to try and hit it really hard, it goes crazy. The reason is, if you create everything perfectly neutral to your body, the way he did, then the more tension you put on this, the more square it becomes, right? If you don't have much tension, then it has a lot of capacity to move around. But if you put it under tension, and especially at high speed where you got 100 pounds of force, then that is going to be very predictable if you control two elements. Where this grip is, and how much tilt you're coming into the ball with, right? So you have to kind of, if you're hitting your pull hooks or your slices or whatever, those are your two things you can alter this too. That's a little something too, but it's largely how much tilt you have. So if you're hitting a pull hook, you can either neutralize that a little more, make it a little bit open, or you can add a little bit more, whatever feels comfortable. Or the reverse, you can, if you're slicing it, give yourself a little more, maybe what's more natural for you to be square is maybe more like that under tension. So as long as you don't try to control that through the swing, then just find where it is combined with where you stand. I personally like to set up a little bit like that because most people come into impact that way, so I can sort of already feel I'm pretty close to impact. A lot of people set up more like this, but then you're getting to here, so that's a variation. But it doesn't really matter as long as this element ends up being neutral, then you just control that. Or if this doesn't feel right, then change this and bring this back that way. So those are pretty much your two elements. And then if you have an uninterrupted, nice swinging motion, you should be able to hit the ball, change it a little bit, hit a little fade, hit a little draw. It's going to be it's so much more simple to change little parts of your setup than it is to try to adjust your motion, which is very unnatural and you can't keep doing it. I mean, you can groove a terrible combination of bad setup and bad motion and make it match and do it forever, but it's never going to be perfect, right? And let's say you're way too strong, but I played very strong for a long time. And then you're pretty good for a while, and then suddenly, oh, you can't control it. Or as soon as you slow down a little bit too soon, you get it really flipping over fast. So the only way to play really strong is to drive really, really hard through the ball. But what if you want to hit a half shot and you can't drive it? Then you try to make the smallest possible backswing to drive through hard. Much better off finding what for you is a neutral feeling, and then you can apply that to everything, right? So if you're going to hit a little 40 yards wedge shot, you don't have to do anything to fix it. It's naturally square. So that's it.